Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I have a really good tip for you on swim baits and how to make the action a little bit different that will generate more strikes. It's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. A lot of people might be aware of it but don't want to attempt to do it because they're worried they could potentially break a swim bait, which could cost hundreds of dollars. And you know, at the same time, it's something a lot of people aren't aware of. So I want to talk about this tip today. Before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you subscribe to the channel, you're entered into my monthly giveaways for sponsored products. We always give away Bridgeford beef jerky. We've given away several reels. I've given away Berkeley products, Striker clothing, Dirty Jigs products, you name it. I've given away a lot of it from my sponsors. So hit that subscriber button if you haven't done so already. It gets you automatically entered into the prize giveaways. And lastly, go into the description of the video, hit thereelshot.com. It's a local bait shop that I've got an affiliate deal with. They carry hunting, fishing, outdoor gear. So if you're in the market for something, check them out. At checkout, you can use the code STEFAN10 and that'll get you 10% off your order. So you get a little bit of a discount. It helps the channel out a little bit and it works out for everybody. So the tip I want to talk about today, this is something that I got from one of my best friends who fished, we were at Lake Champlain in a bass open. This is years and years ago. His co-angler for that day was supposedly a good friend of Mike Buca's and had a lot of input with the bull shad and the Mike Buca's baits, or at least was really familiar with them. So I don't know what that relationship was. This is secondhand information that I got that I've applied since then, and it's really, really a cool tip. So as the story goes, my friend, who was the pro in that tournament, did well that day, but his co-angler did really well in that tournament all 3 days. And he was fishing one swim bait. But the swim bait wasn't necessarily the deal. It was how he was fishing it and what he did to that swim bait to alter it. So the swim bait was a bull herring. So this is the, you know, one of the Mike Buca's. It's not the bull shad, it's the bull herring. So a more slender body, really similar bait. It's a great bait. I've caught a lot of fish on it. Caught a lot of fish on the bull shad as well. The herring is a really good bait if you're trying to mimic more of the blueback herring or smelt or alewife, you know, or something that's not necessarily a gizzard shad or threadfin shad. It's a really good perch bait as well. So the key though was he was tightening the joints up on this. So when you swim this bait, and I'll show you in the water right here. All right, here is the bull herring without any changes out of the package. It's definitely, you know, S-shaped. Looks still good, catches plenty of fish. As you can see, that bait, when it's swimming through the water, has a really good S shape. You know, it really swims side to side. But if you tighten it up, we can get this to run much tighter. Instead of having the real wide S, we can get it to run much tighter, which is really more realistic than a big S wave. And the thing is, you're fishing it at a really quick retrieve. You want to burn it across the surface, not necessarily on the surface, but you're burning it, killing it, burning it, killing it. And you're trying to get those spotted bass or those smallmouth or largemouth to come up and just crack it, you know. So you really want to tighten it up to limit the S curve and make it look more natural. So that's what we got to do. We got to figure out how to tighten it up. And it's really quite simple. It does take a little bit of effort, and I know it can be a little bit scary at times because you don't want to ruin a bait. And not all swim baits are the same. But this bait, these joints are held in by pins. I don't know if you can see them. There's a little pin here, a little pin here, a little pin here. So there's a pin that runs through the body of the bait let's turn it over. You can see them better on this side. I'll get the hook out of the way. Pin, pin, pin. So if you remove the pin that's got the connector joint in it, you can separate the baits. So I'm gonna do that right now. And to do that, all I've done is, this is just I mean, you can use any sort of pointed object. This is just a heavy gauge flipping hook that I've bent out, cut the point off and removed and squeezed the barb in. I'm just gonna take this and push down into the joint to see if we can get that to pop out. I might go this way. And you might want to take the hooks off, just, you know, to not potentially hook yourself. And they're in there tight, so you're going to want to really, you know, push on them to remove them. All right, so you can see I've pushed this one out a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to take a pair of pliers, grab my pin, and just slowly pull it until I can get it out. Okay, so I've removed the pin. Don't want to lose the pin. And my bull herring is in 2 parts. So all I'm going to do, these are just screw in. And you want to play around with this a little bit. You don't necessarily want to tighten it all the way in. I'm going to tighten it just a little bit, about a full turn, and that should be about enough. Now again, guys, do it however you feel comfortable with. If you want to tighten it way in to make it really tight, you can do that. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to tighten it 1 full turn. All right, so I've done it 1 full turn on each screw eye, and you can see, so that fits right in here, and it's a little bit tighter on the joint. It's not, if you compare the 2 sides, this one, it's a little bit tighter. I don't know if you can tell, but I can see that it is a little bit. So I'm gonna put that back, take my pin, put it back in the hole, and the pin is just going right through these 2 screw eyes, just like that. So I'm gonna put them in, and we're gonna show you the difference in action. Okay, so we got it put back together. Just like that. I've tightened it up. I'm gonna go down to the water, show you how it looks a little bit different. All right, so this is the bull herring tightened 1 full turn. You can see it really is not nearly as S-curved. It's much more streamlined. Does not have the big kind of S wave through it. And that's just 1 turn. Now you can play around with it, half turns, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, but you can change the action of the swim bait just based on the screws, and a lot of these swim baits are easily adjustable. People just aren't aware of it. So guys, as you can see, you can tighten up the action on your swim baits relatively easily. It's something you can even do out on the water. There are times when you definitely want a tighter wiggle. And what it really does is it almost takes this from being a 3-jointed bait down to like a 2-jointed or 3-jointed, or a 1 or 2-jointed bait. So it's almost like you don't have as much motion in it. And I think that makes it much more realistic. And from my experience, I do a lot better with the bait tightened together than I do with it just stock right out of the package. So it's something to think about, guys, something to try. It's something that you guys can do. If you weren't aware of it, now you are aware of it. I would not, so when you put the pin in, if you take it in and out too many times, you could potentially loosen the pin. It's really in there tight. I've never had an issue with it, but I want to recommend, don't put it back in with super glue or some sort of locking sealant, unless you know that that's exactly how you want that bait. Now, I've never had an issue with the pin coming out or anything like that, and I've removed pins on these baits lots and lots of times without using any super glue or any substance, but I think naturally you'd kind of want to lean towards putting it in there, but you don't need it. I'm just saying, if you do put it in there, you're probably never getting that pin back out, so just be aware of that. Anyways, guys, give it a try if you're looking to switch up the action on some of your swim baits. Like I said, a lot of people aren't doing it. It changes the action quite a bit. If I wanted to make this bait to the point where it couldn't even wiggle, you just keep tightening on it. The last thing I want to say is, you remember, you only need to remove the pins on the side that has the eye on it. You don't need to remove any of the other pins. There's no reason to do that, but just something to keep in mind. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it on your social media pages. Stay tuned. Tips every day.